It really is. It's really exciting to be at the forefront of a sector. It's also really exciting to be involved with a project which is really going to add value to New Zealand. So for me, it's both of those things. Peer-to-peer lending is for debt and equity crowdfunding is for equity. So with peer-to-peer lending, you're crowdfunding a loan. So as an investor, you're loaning your money to a borrower. With equity crowdfunding, you're buying shares in a company. There's definitely a number of organisations looking at it. We don't think that we compete with the peer-to-peer lending side of things, but in the equity space, there are a few platforms that are lined up and looking at the space. There are others that have looked at the regulation and are still deciding whether to submit an application to operate. So time will tell. We don't think that in the long run there's space for more than, let's say, a couple of equity crowdfunding platforms. So we think there will be a shakeout at some stage. Essentially, this is a cheap and efficient way to raise funds from the public. Essentially, this is the only way to offer shares to the public without a prospectus. So it makes it a lot cheaper and takes a lot less time. But for companies, the key reason why a lot of them are doing it is for the exposure. You can get your biggest customers, your fans, your supporters on board as shareholders. They then become bigger advocates for your business. So it's really about getting that popular support and getting that momentum to accelerate your growth. And a lot of the companies that we're speaking to are here for that reason, rather than the cash. Definitely including the ones that are further down the track, and we have a bias towards those that are more established for a few reasons. One is that they have an existing audience, and it's so important to reach your existing audience with the offer. So later stage businesses have customers, and that's a large part of the existing audience that may want to invest because they love the product or they love the people behind the product. Or they want to support a business from their region, let's say. So it is really important to have that existing audience to go to, and that's one reason why we're biased towards later stage businesses. Another reason is that investors have a better chance to see what management have done over the course of that business's history. And another reason is that it makes it easier for us to do our vetting in terms of the companies that go on the platform. Anything that we're trying to prevent is any fraud. We think that it's up to investors to decide on whether that company has good prospects of success, but what we're trying to do is prevent any fraudulent activity happening over the platform. So there is a balancing act there as to how much diligence we do as a platform, because obviously that takes time and resource from our end, but ultimately it's up to investors to decide on prospects of a business, and it's up to us to prevent fraud. It's inevitable. I mean, this is early stage businesses, so there will be failures, and I don't think the FMA could do anything more to prevent that. So we think that the FMA has struck a good balance between the level that they've set that you need to meet before you can enter this industry as an intermediary, any more than that, and we think it's just going to not provide any benefit. The short answer is no one knows when they put their money in, when the return will be there. It will be an illiquid investment. So there is scope to run a secondary market for these investments. So the companies could apply to list on a secondary market to give shareholders some liquidity. Other than that, they're hoping for some kind of exit or liquidity event, like a buyout of the company or like a listing on a public secondary market. But these investments will be illiquid, and it will be unknown when the return is going to be there, if at all. Looking at international research, the average equity crowdfunded company has an increase in revenue around 350% in the period post its equity crowdfunding campaign, which is obviously massive, and that comes from the people that are now shareholders that are buying the product and telling all their mates about it.